Great. Thanks, Liz. So I'm really pleased. Dr. Varas is here with us down at the Surgical Skills Lab. He is from Católica University in Chile, Santiago. But I think the reason I was really wanting him to talk today was on this issue of microcredentials. I think fundamentally, Dr. Varas is really worried about scaling learning to a way to reach out to large numbers of people and have people really engaged in learning. So even though this is focusing on surgical education today, what I've really been impressed is always you're thinking, I'll turn to him, he's always thinking about how can this be a bigger, broader concept. He directs the Simulation Center. He's the associate professor in surgery. He also is a CEO of a company that allows a lot of use of AI and also video to, again, try to make assessments much more broadly available to people. So this is just a small slice of some of the work that he does. And I just find this kind of thinking is something we've talked about in the States a lot, but I haven't seen us use it in our educational setting. So there are two aspects of today. I hope he has his presentation, but there's some things where I'm hoping we can really react and think about what are kinds of questions that you might want to be exploring with this approach to education.
Sure.
So, Liz, shall I let him start and then
We should
maybe?
go ahead and dive in, and then if people want to maybe put your name and background or where you're from in the chat, that would be great. But then if you're asking questions later, just let us know who you are. So we'll hand it over to you, Dr. Varas.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Pat, for that introduction. Thank you, Liz, and all the Escape committee organizing this fabulous Tuesday meetings that you have. I'm very lucky. This is my second time presenting at the Escape. So for me, it's just a great opportunity to show what we do. I'm gonna share my screen, and please let me know if you see my PowerPoint being shared. So the title of this presentation, please, hopefully we can then discuss many things, but I just wanted to put everything out there. So it's not all about grades, uh, especially in Latin America, we still use a lot the grades, right? You need to get a grade so that you pass your course. Uh, and then my credential as part of a gamification in undergraduate medical education to acquire technical skills. So I'm going to focus on the role of micro credentials in technical skills, but this can be applied to other types of skills. This is what we were discussing a little bit with Pat. And basically, during this presentation, we invite you to think about, do traditional grading systems truly reflect students' clinical skills? How can we effectively teach and certify psychomotor skills at a large scale? Could digital microcredentials improve students' motivation, participation, and clinical skills? What is the potential role of technology in ensuring the authenticity, security, and recognition of these credentials? Could microcredentials unintentionally lead to a future workplace of discrimination, which hopefully it doesn't, but that's something bad that could happen uh, for those that, especially for those that do not hold them, right? And how can we prevent this? So, to put some context, we all know and talk about competency-based learning, but we have not modified our curriculums. We can go into some literature and we'll find that there's some competency-based curricula, maybe related to simulation, maybe related to some skills. But in the end, we still have semesters. We still have a title that goes once you finish your title, it will take you, let's say, just usually between 12 to 20 semesters, depending on the career. So I'm always asking myself, like, are we really doing competency-based learning? And at least the Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education, they say that specific achievement criteria to advance through levels of skills and knowledge development, regardless of the time taken to reach the standard. So if we're truly talking about competency-based learning, we should be able to graduate at a different pace. And that is not happening. And we'll see that most of the bottleneck for this type of issue, it's maybe it's not an issue, but if we really want a competency-based learning type of curricula, we need to adapt to our trainees and not the trainees to adapt to our teachers, for instance, and our attendings. And this is, as of Amech, would be something like the ACME, but from Chile. They ask us to at least in our profile of when you graduate, that our doctors graduate with at least 35 competencies. I'm just going to name some, but paracentesis, thoracentesis, suturing, how to put a nasogastric tube, how to do, well, so many skills that we all know as physicians. But, well, it is easy to tell us, universities, hey, I want that to be the profile. But how are we making sure that is happening? Who ensures that our graduates have the minimum clinical competencies? I did a poll to our trainees that are graduating at Católica, and actually, 30% of our trainees only reached 10 skills, not 35. So, and Católica is one of the best universities in all Latin America. We're top rated in Latin America. So I guess the other universities, well, I don't know how they're doing it. Basically, when I talk to other colleagues, it's not so easy to make sure this. Do grades truly reflect the clinical skills of our students? So when somebody in Chile, we graduate with grading from 1 to 7. Okay, so imagine you graduate with a 6.9. Does that mean, for instance, that Liz now knows how to take a blood sample? It doesn't correlate because skills go through a different channel, and we do need to start understanding that sometimes we need, if, especially if we want to graduate someone with a minimum of 35 skills, then we need to start to understand how we are going to measure them and certify them, etc. So there's a limitation of the traditional model. Skills learning is opportunistic and not systematic. So basically, they are learning in their clinical field. But what is this clinical field? Is the clinical field actually making sure that you achieve all of the skills that I fastly named before? And the answer is no. If you go and ask your trainees, especially undergrads, hey, have you done a pleurostomy? Oh, no, doctor. We were six in a group and only one of us could do it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe you should go to simulation. So, simulation may be the answer to this. The problem is this is a massive course of undergrads. Of course, if you take this in consideration for postgraduate courses, it's still massive. But when you have a lot of trainees, how are we going to train them all in simulation? So, like a quick question, how do we train 120 students in a psychomotor skill? I'm not even talking about 35 skills. I'm talking about one skill. Uh, Usually we do intensive workshops, right? We will distribute our teachers. Usually, if this is, let's say, we want to have some evidence-based medical education, we would try to have one teacher every three trainees, but that's very difficult. So, with a great effort, maybe it's one every 12 trainees. And then we need to stay with them for about 3 hours, and that is the intensive workshop. We will show them how to do, let's say, for instance, as an example, a person thesis. I'll show them first, then they'll do it, and they'll have near peer and peer feedback, and then that's it. And we would graduate them. That would be one workshop for one skill. But this is this enough? It goes against every principle of deliberate practice. It's only one workshop. We need at least many repetition and hopefully receive feedback in between, during, and after the sessions. So I think we're not there. And when the undergraduate chair of the or the vice dean asked me to include a new skill for the next year, this is my face. I simply don't know what to say to her. She's very nice and tells me, Julian, can we incorporate now, I don't know, thoracentesis? And I go like, okay, but you do realize that I need mannequins, I need a lot of stuff, I need a space, I need teachers. I want you to send me at least 20 teachers so that the workshop will at least happen. I'm not saying it will happen in a good way, but if it happens, it's okay. And she tells me usually, "Oh no, we scarce the number of teachers. So, but your simulation, you should train them. It should happen like magically." So the response to this is not so good. We can talk more about scalability and how we've been able to solve this a little afterwards. But there's a limitation for this traditional model, and students may achieve good theoretical grades, right? But lack the technical skills, as I showed in the example with saying that Liz may be graded with a good grade, but doesn't mean that she knows exactly how to do a person thesis, for instance. And there's no formal certification of specific practical skills. So if I graduate from Católica, does that puts me in a good place for me saying that I have certification to do suturing? We don't know. So I think there's a space to grow there. Then this is an example. I have a course at Católica for fourth year medical students and third year medical students called Clinical Laboratory, where we will teach them how to process and analyze some liquids from the abdomen from ascites. And yes, in that type of course, we usually add some simulation. And that simulation is paracentesis or thoracocentesis. It will depend. So in the end, the trainees are learning in an integral way how the theory behind taking a sample, then they are actually taking a sample, and then they understand why the results we measure them and how to apply the results on patients, right? The thing is that the paracentesis part is so little, and the grade that we put there, even if it's summative and not formative, will not affect the end up grade, the big grade of the course. So this is a problem for us because the trainees understand this and they start saying to me, "Oh, but you know, this is not that mandatory. This is, I mean, it's mandatory, but yeah, if I get a bad grade, it won't have nothing bad will happen to me." So we're trying to to put more power to this type of grade. And what is happening is that, yeah, if the grade counts, then it's done. But if the activity is formative, for instance, or little impact, there's low participation, low motivation. We can then talk about motivation of the areas. I'm just saying a result and a fact. So students do not perceive the immediate relevance of learning certain skills at early stages. Why? Because we're disconnected from the outcome, which is the real purpose here is patience. So when I'm telling them, this is so important for you to learn this because you will apply this 5 years later from now when you actually get to a patient and you have the opportunity to take that source of information out of his body. And they go like, yeah, but does it have a grade or not? Wow. So the discussion is always in turn related to the grade. So despite all of our educational theories, grades often take precedence over the goal of providing quality patient care. There's a need, but also, of course, the opportunity to encourage practical learning beyond grades. Okay, that was my introduction. So what is microcredentials? To make it more precise, it's a competency-based learning model provided by higher education institutions or companies that grants students a digital badge upon approval. Okay, that's one of the many definitions. Digital microcredentials are an alternative to traditional credentials such as certificates, diplomas, and qualifications recognizing the development of smaller scale skills through digital badges embedded with metadata. That's really important. We can put data in this digital badge. And that could help us realize, and we're going to talk about the benefits of having this benefit. So due to their digital format, they are easily shareable and verifiable. This is very important because I don't want my trainees to be printing digital micro-credentials or just, hacking the system. Enabling individuals to effectively showcase their skills and knowledge to potentially employers and academic institutions. So I'm not an expert in blockchain. I do love the concept, but in the end, we have the benefit to allocate these digital badges in a blockchain. And this allows the organized online recording of information um, into interconnected sections or blocks. Basically, it's like a digital accountable book. So you cannot modify that. And it's the law that once you put that metadata, that's it. And it ensures authenticity, immutability, and data security. So we all remember, maybe, I don't know if in the US, but for sure in Chile, when we were in pre-kinder and kinder, if you get a star, that was amazing. That was amazing. If I get a star, that's much better than anything else. I don't like grades. I wanted a beautiful star. And if I get 3 stars, that was the best student of the class. So for sure, it works. And it's part of our, when we were, of our learning stereotype when we were young. So formal recognitions, these badges, trophies, awards, they could enhance some sort of uh, competition, but in a good way. They could highlight some motivational status in ourselves, and you can start giving these stars for specific focused areas. I'm going to show you a video of the game. This is a PlayStation game. Please don't get scared. I'm going to try to explain this so that we all get into game theory, but I don't want to explain game theory to you guys, but just understand how addictive this can be. So this is a map, okay? This is a map where the highlight is in the top. And you see here that if you play, you can achieve this skill called Resonator Blast. Forget about the skill, but you can see that there's a video about the skill. There's a description about the skill. And then if you get into this step, you will get this skill only if you do certain stuff. You need to finally learn to acquire the skills. And you can see that many of the skills are locked. And there's like a huge skill right here. So once you get the skill, this is how it looks in the game. So I now can enable that skill and basically kill all the bad guys. Why is this important? Because if I don't get the skill, I will never get to the final guy, the final boss. That's all about game. Okay? This is another game, but I want you to transfer your mind to let's imagine you're getting into nursing school or medical school, or let's say you are in your residency program, but this is your first day, and you get right here. And you can now see in a video, right as I showed you in the game, you can go on top of the skill. Let's say this skill is transplant of liver. I want to get to transplant liver. Oh, but first I need to have this. Then I need to have this. And the pathway to get to there, if it's open and I can know that there's so many skills that I can achieve, well, that's giving me a different purpose from the beginning of my career. So, in my dream of a beautiful gamified strategy to achieve a lot of skills in the undergrads and also in postgraduate, this could resemble some sort of the ideas I want you to think a trainee could have. So you get into your first class and you already know that you can get into the skills lab to wash your hands, because if you wash your hands, then all the sterile procedures will be enabled. Oh, that would be fun. So what have I done in the Faculty of Medicine at Católica University? This is just ideas, but we have been doing this for the last 3 years. I've been asking so many times, Pat, for help, but we're just learning while we apply this stuff. So the first micro-credential I'm going to show you is about paracentesis, just to explain this example, and thoracocentesis maybe. You can see that the badge follows the instructional the design of Católica University colors and stuff like that. We have 4 stars. This would be the micro-credential badge 1. How do you get this? Well, you need to do a paracentesis in simulation. And the good thing is that once you do this, you will have a video attached to the micro-credential. We know exactly the skill that the trainee achieved. We're using a lot of video-based assessment to empower micro-credentials. This is so objective. It cannot go more objective because we have the video. Worst case scenario, we don't have that great rater reliability in the assessment, but then we can all go and see the video, and that cannot be more objective. And then the other thing is once you achieve the minimum competency, and we're going to talk about how we're scoring this, how we're rating our trainees, then you receive this badge. Okay, but this can be the map. The second micro-credential could be skill retention after 6 months. Why skill retention? Because as I showed you, well, first we are always struggling to understand if there is skill retention or not. That's a question, a legit question anyone that does simulation have. And we've seen that some trainees now are asking us, hey, can I get the retention of skills micro-credential? Can I go to the skills lab? We're like so happy to receive them. Before I had it to do an experiment, an IRV, make it mandatory, put some grades. Now with micro-credentials, many of the trainees are uh, asking us. Usually these are trainees that they really love gaming, but also I see a lot of self-regulation trainees that love to have this. Now, micro-credential 3, we are offering all of our trainees to become student teaching assistant. So you learn the skill, you can now teach it, but we will pass you through a train the trainers course. Once you pass this course, you'll be enabled, and you first of all you'll get your micro credential certification, but half of it, and then you'll need to assess near peers. So if you get from third grade to fourth grade, fourth year in medical student, you will be able to teach the third year medical students. And now I have over 80 student teaching assistants teaching so many skills thanks to this type of intervention. So the skills lab has been now more of a moderator and coordinator of this student teaching assistants for the undergrads. We're not doing that much teaching. We're more understanding if the teaching is actually happening and in a good quality or not. And of course, the purpose needs to be complete. So the fourth micro-credential in this case is real cases, patients. So how to get this one? Because we cannot record always. It's very difficult to record the real scenario. But for sure, I could trust my body of so many certified teachers around, or if it's part of the Católica networks, if it's an attending, if the trainee was supervised, you can then provide this micro-credential. This may sound similar to an EPA, the fourth micro-credential, right? To an untrustable professional activity. But instantly digital, verifiable, there's a video, hopefully, and if there's not a video, at least we have the teacher who says this person did it on a real case. And then you obtain the beautiful badge that I already won my badge, but I don't have it yet. Okay, so this is being applied to many skills, and we've been expanding the reach. As soon as I get a new student assistant trained in the platform, we then focus strategically on what type of skill may we add every year at the skills lab. We have identified 56 different competencies, so it's so 35 was not enough. It's 56 that even our trainees find them that they're really important. So I know for sure that not only our attendings and our faculty think they're good, but our trainees, they think like they shouldn't graduate without them. So it's a challenge. We have not reached 56. We are in 12 almost now, but it's growing, and it's a way that we can keep track of what we're doing. And the data is very interesting. Now, we have some pilot experience. I'm just going to show you quick so that we get into the discussion. But we've the good thing, of course, whenever I have a research fellow, I always tell them, you have the most luckiest position in the world. You will always have 120 trainees every year. So that's a lot of, numbers for you to process as a researcher. And that's so great. When I study surgery, I usually have 5 residents or 10 residents. So it's too little to do some good research. But in the undergrads, oh, that's a beautiful way to get numbers and to get your things done. How does it work? So trainees will go to first, they'll read this in their platform. They will be able to watch tutorial videos. They'll understand all the theoretical aspects. They'll watch narrated PowerPoints. And then once they understand the demonstration tutorial videos of how this is done in the simulation lab, they'll go to the first training. And in their first training, they might have an administrator at the skills lab, not a physician, to help them with the instruments, cleaning afterwards. But basically, they go on their own. They usually go on a couple. They record themselves using their cell phone. This is uploaded to an asynchronous feedback platform. They receive feedback, and then they can go back and do their second training. And after this happens, they receive feedback again, and they are then uh, pushed forward to their third training only if the achievement criteria were not met during the second training session. This is as close as we've get. We've discussed this with Pat. Of course, with deliberate practice, we're talking about 10,000 hours of training, maybe 2,000 if you want the 80% cutoff score. But this is as close as we can get to train with receiving feedback in between. So quality training. And we in this pilot, we achieved minimum competency as we define this as an 80% of using objective strata assessment of technical skills rating scale. We also have checklists to understand if the procedure is met or not, and is used as specific rating scale. But this is really interesting. So obtaining or not obtaining the micro-credential for specific competency did not impact the student's final grade. So we disconnected the micro-credential with the grading system. So in cases where the micro-credential was not achieved on the second attempt, an additional training opportunity was offered, which had no impact in the final grade, but did impact obtaining the micro-credential. So of course, I wanted to see if the micro-credential caught the attention of our trainees instead of the grading, because they already had the grade. And this is the results. 89% had approval, so not all, and 92% had approval in thoracenthesis. And you can see that 2 out of 13 that didn't achieve wanted a third because they wanted to get the micro-credential in paracenthesis, and 3 out of 10 got the micro-credential. They didn't improve their grading in thoracenthesis. So if we keep pushing this, and this was, a pilot, we had no marketing to show them the micro-credential. This was just, explaining to them on a PowerPoint what a micro-credential was. And even by that, I rescued 5 trainees. So I say it's rescuing because if not, I lose them, right? I will never hear about them again. The additional session had no impact on the final grade, that's the message, and did not guarantee obtaining the respective micro-credential. So even though they could repeat, they could sometimes not achieve the 20 out of 25 in the OSAT score and achieve the micro-credential. Thanks to Pat, we have also added responsibility into the micro-credential metadata, like getting into the skills lab on time, there's so many things you can add that improve or not the grade. And this is how you micro certify. This is how, sorry, it's how you check the certification. So this was issued in this date, and it has this blockchain. If you press this, you can always go back and check the metadata that was linked to this micro-credential. You can see here the criteria of all of this training. And then you can link the video, which for me is crazy. So you imagine you can now see if a trainee actually did it. So you press the link and then you'll see in the platform the video of the associated to this micro credential with the data. It also contains the criteria to achieve this data. We did a lot of post-course surveys and focus groups. We have some, we know this quality assessment sometimes is not that precise, but at least we've been trying to measure as much as we can. So 64% reported that the certification increased their motivation to learn and improve their simulation skills. We were asking them why do they think that, and they were saying to us that they were speaking about achieving the micro credential and not speaking about the patient, not speaking about the procedure itself. They just wanted the micro credential. This is a double-edged sword. We need to know what to do with this, okay? But at least we know it's addictive. It works with the young minds. Uh, so we could have a good impact on them. The opportunity for additional training, 85%. Uh, this is very, very interesting. And the academic opportunity, 78% believe that the micro certification will positively impact their education. Yeah, sure. These are like general, basically questions. 100% express interest in obtaining micro credentials for, they were saying to us, all the skills. Additional comments and usually the perception. It motivated me to attend the third person thesis training. It feels great. It's nice to have a micro credential validating our knowledge of a particular skill, especially with Católica stamp. So yes, the prestige here comes in place too. It's a Católica stamp, and I have a Católica skill there, which, yes, part of our university's goal is to always conquer our trainees in from a prestige point of view. I felt it was positive for my specialty interest, so I appreciate it. I felt quite good. It provides tremendous satisfaction to see the dedication. It's rewarded. There should be more micro credentials, blah blah blah. To what extent do you agree with the following statements? Well, it's very similar. Basically, the thing here is that after our focus groups, the micro credentials is an intervention. We want it to stay. We are trying to make it more to understand better the downside of it and how we can improve those downside of it. Like, if you don't obtain the micro credential, will this have consequences to any trainee? Um, what if this grows and goes to a national level, and now if they want to hire you in an ER, for instance, they will ask you your micro credentials and you don't have. So we need to start understanding this type of things. For this year, which competencies would you like to add? And they were always saying that they want to add, most of the trainees want to add all of the skills. Um, they say, I think there are other competencies that could be integrated into the platform we use for remote and asynchronous training into the micro-credential program. We've been talking about the skills tree I showed you in the game, and that opened their eyes. They were like, oh, I want a skills tree. I want to see where I can go. I want to see the skills that I can achieve now. So that kind of talk is really great. And to finish, what do you find positive, interesting about the micro-credential program? The possibility to certify and validate competencies that theoretically should already include in the curriculum, but we are blind to it. They are not there once you graduate and get a title. We assume they have to be in the title, but I'm telling you, it's not happening. It ensures that students effectively acquire the necessary knowledge to face patients in the future. I find it positive that it seeks to further motivate participation in simulated procedures, and in one way or another, it helps to organize achievement. Well, I think that's basically what I wanted to show you. And of course, I'm open now for discussion. In my presentation, if you can share this, I put all the reference suggested not only from medical education, but also for different theories that I talked in the talk.
Wonderful, thank you. And I will go ahead and put the questions that you had brought forward in the chat so that people can have those to think about. I'll open it up to the group for questions.